President Donald Trump has been inaugurated for the second time as the U.S. president. Trump has taken the oath in a cold Washington, D.C. The inauguration ceremony that used to take place on the steps of the Capitol was held indoors because of the weather and reports of security concerns. The president was first elected as the U.S. president back in 2016. In its second and last term as the president of the U.S., he was sworn in as the 47th U.S. president.
From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer. During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first. Our sovereignty will be reclaimed. Our safety will be restored. The scales of justice will be rebalanced. The vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of the Justice Department and our government will end. And our top priority will be to create a nation that is proud, prosperous, and free. America will soon be greater, stronger, and far more exceptional than ever before. I return to the presidency confident and optimistic that we are at the start of a thrilling new era of national success. A tide of change is sweeping the country, sunlight is pouring over the entire world, and America has the chance to seize this opportunity like never before. But first, we must be honest about the challenges we face. While they are plentiful, they will be annihilated by this great momentum that the world is now witnessing in the United States of America.
All right, we're now joined by SABC News correspondent Kate Fisher. Kate, let's start with the sentiment post that swearing in of Donald Trump. What has been the sentiment on the streets?
So Donald Trump has just finished giving his speech at his official inauguration ceremony. You heard some of it there, promising a golden age for America, saying that the tide was turning on the last disastrous 4 years. And he was saying this just a couple of meters away from former President Joe Biden and his Vice President Kamala Harris. He said that it was time to change things around, bring back prosperity. He's announced immediate actions he's going to take, like sending the military to the southern border with Mexico to try to stop the number of people coming over the border. He said he wants to rename the Gulf of Mexico, and it will now be called the Gulf of America. He said similar things about the Panama Canal. He said he's got around 100 executive orders that he is going to action once he gets to a desk with a pen. So it's really setting the tone for how this administration is going to be completely different from what came before for the last 4 years under the Biden administration, and signalling that he will not be waiting around to do this. It will happen from the minute he gets to a desk.
But the implementation thereof becomes the question, because you only have 4 years to do all of this. And we heard from him stating that his mandate now is to reverse the betrayal. And among those, one assumes being the betrayal, is when he spoke about revoking the electric vehicle mandate, which obviously came with the Joe Biden administration. But the implementation, yet again, becomes the question within the 4 years. Can you do all of this, so undo what the previous administration would have done?
I'm sorry, it's very noisy here, so I'm struggling to hear everything you're saying. But I think you're asking about how he managed to achieve all this in the 4 years he's got, and that's one of the reasons that he's starting right now. He said at a speech last night that one of his advisors had suggested spreading out these executive actions over the next few days and weeks, and he said absolutely not, we're doing them from day one. But several of them will be more, it's more kind of statement than it will actually happen, because a lot of them will be have to go through legal challenges, things like he's saying that he wants to change the right to American citizenship if you are born here on US soil. If you are born to legal aliens who are here in the US, he wants to reverse that. You cannot automatically become American. That is in the Constitution, so that would take a change to the Constitution, an amendment to the Constitution, which is incredibly difficult to achieve. So things like that, he's saying them now, but actually getting them passed into law and becoming a lot more difficult. But that, he says, is one of the reasons that he's beginning on day one to try to make these wholesale changes in essentially the way the US is run, and many effects on American society.
Kate, on gender, he's spoken about going forward there being two genders, male and female. He's also spoken about race, saying that he will not allow, or he will stop the attempts to socially engineer all of the social aspects around either racial lines or gender. Just talk to us about that.
That's right, and we understand from reporting colleagues inside the arena, where so many of his supporters were watching that speech on the inauguration ceremony, that the line when he said there are only two genders, male and female, got a huge roar of applause and cheers from the audience. It's something that really resonates with his supporter base. And he also, as you say, mentioned how he wanted to be a president for everybody, and thanked African Americans and Hispanic Americans for their support during the election, and said that he had met so many of them on the campaign trail, and he said that he had really listened to their concerns, and that he was grateful for their support, and that he would be listening still now that he is in power. So he did kind of reach out to those perhaps not usually typical Republican voters, who many of them did come over to vote for Republicans in the election in November, and he did acknowledge them in his speech.
All right, Kate, thank you very much for that reportage. That's SABC News correspondent Kate Fisher speaking to us.